All right, y'all. So I figured I would come on and chat with you guys and just share some tips or techniques because I get asked a lot of questions about like how many coats I do with my Crystal at Grand Finale, how do I glitter, just kind of what's my process. So I figured while I put on these decals, I can kind of go over um, some of those techniques. Now, currently, I am putting decals on the acrylics that I have from Melanin Crafting Co. I have become absolutely obsessed with her, a lot of her designs. I love the print quality of her decals. I also love the material. She uses a very thick printed vinyl. And it just like I love it because it's easier to apply. I don't have to really worry about getting any like bubbles or anything like that when I'm trying to place her decals on the acrylics. And that even goes for if my glitter surface isn't like completely smooth. Um, I still can have like a smooth look when I place her decals on because of like how thick they are. But I do try to get my surface as smooth as possible. Um, so yeah, so I do have a discount code, which is the Hannah Crafted for her site, and you can save 10% off orders over 25 or more. So definitely check out her site and get your hands on some of these amazing designs that she has. Okay, so I will just start off by saying I am a messy crafter and I do not like glittering my acrylics with like the sprinkle method. So there's different ways you can glitter your acrylics using Crystalac products. You can either do glitter glue and then sprinkle the glitter on. And you typically would have to do like 2 or 3 more coats to, like, especially if your glitter is still like kind of see-through or to get like a nice even um, application or whatever. But I'm messy. I do not like sprinkling glitter. So you can either do that with glitter glue. You can do a top coat, like a light top coat of Grand Finale or their bright tone. I think there's another one. I forgot what the other one's called. There's another um, top coat that some people were using before too, um, where you can put like a light coat on your acrylic and then sprinkle the glitter over that. And then you would have to kind of do it again after like the 2 hours. But again, I'm just not a fan of that. I I don't know. I just don't like glitter kind of getting everywhere. I don't like it all over my hands. I don't know. I just don't like it. Plus, I feel like it's way too time consuming with trying to get a smooth finish. I will say though that it is not recommended to use Mod Podge. For glittering your acrylics and then top coating with Crystal at Grand Finale. You can, but I believe you have to wait like several days. Like I would say like at least a week or something before you can start top coats. Because the I guess water ratio or whatever in Mod Podge affects the top coats and sometimes won't react well with it. And I think it can kind of give you like not a very clear look. It may turn it like very cloudy or that sort of thing. So I don't personally know like exactly what happens because I don't use Mod Podge and I just don't like the sprinkle method anyway. Um, so yeah. So if you're going to use any type of glue, you'll want to stick with the Crystalac glitter glue. And it's very affordable. Like you can get a really good size bottle. It'll last you a good while because you don't need very much. So yeah. Now, I like to mix my glitter into Grand Finale. And I make sure that it's kind of like a honey-like consistency, not super thick where it's real clumpy and not extremely runny where as soon as I put it on my acrylic, it's spilling over the edges. Now, I do still get some spillage, don't get me wrong, but you know, you just don't want it real runny. So after I place my glitter onto the acrylic, I will also mention you do want to make sure that you have a well sanded acrylic. So make sure you're sanding your acrylic blanks. I'm currently now using an electric sander with a 60 grit pad on it, and it's amazing versus like sanding them by hand. So yeah, just make sure that your acrylics are well sanded. I would say you it's best to do anywhere from 60 to 120 grit, because if you really scuff up your surface very well, then that helps your glitter application to not pull away from the top edges as the product is drying. So it keeps your glitter application well put if your acrylic is nicely sanded, like especially around the top edges. You can use Crystal Coverall. That's a product that they now have that takes the place of having to prep sand. However, I started to kind of notice that for acrylic blanks, to me, it doesn't really bond as well to acrylic surfaces, because when I started to like clean the outer edges, like where I had any spillover, when I would do that, sometimes it would cause my entire like glitter surface to lift off of the acrylic blank. But strange thing is once it would lay back down, it would all of a sudden kind of be very stuck again. So I don't know. So I just kind of preferred not to do coverall for the acrylic blanks. However, I love them for the stainless steel pens, the glitter pens that I do, and when I occasionally do tumblers, it's absolutely amazing for those types of things. Because I am not a fan of sanding, first of all, so especially anything by hand. So coverall definitely is amazing for like tumblers and glitter pens, and like, you know, whatever other surfaces like glassware. I know people use it for that. So yeah, so I just prefer to sand mine. And once my glitter application has been applied, I like to let it dry overnight. Now, I would say if you're not doing a super heavy like glitter application, you can probably, I would say you can check your acrylics anywhere between 4 and 8 hours and see how dry it feels. If you're being able to kind of dig your fingernail in your application and it still feels like a little soft, then I would not start your top coats. Like you want to make sure that it's you know, dry like kind of all the way through. So my preference is just to let them dry overnight. Plus I only get to work on items like maybe up to twice a day. So for me, it's perfectly fine for me to batch glitter a whole bunch of acrylics at once and then let them all dry overnight. And then I start my top coats. Now with my first coat over my dried glitter, I no longer do a flood coat. I used to, but not anymore. I find that it's better to kind of do a thinner coat, and I use my finger for top coating any glitter. but I definitely don't use my finger for top coating any vinyl or decals. It's my preference. Um, but over my glitter, with that first coat, I kind of really make sure that make sure that the grand finale really soaks into my glitter. Now, the good thing about mixing glitter into grand finale is you won't have as rough of a texture. It will be a little rough, but not as rough as if you were to do the sprinkle method. So your glitter surface can get a lot smoother, or get smoother a lot faster when you glitter the way that I do. And so with that first coat, I just really work in the top coat. I don't like rub my finger like multiple times, but I just kind of take my time and make sure that the entire surface really soaks in the product. Then after that coat dries, by the second coat is when I start doing heavier coats. And I am very heavy handed, so a lot of times my coats are pretty thick. Um, I mean, not mega thick, but they're just on the thicker side. And I will apply the next, few coats with my finger again, kind of on the heavy side. Give them plenty of dry time, especially if you are doing heavier coats. I wouldn't recoat at the 2 hour time frame. Also, if your room is like on the colder side, like especially like in the winter months, you want to give your items a little bit more dry time. If you're not using like a space heater or a heat lamp near your area to help the product dry well, because like colder temps or even too hot of temps can kind of affect, like how well your top coats dry. So after my fifth coat is when, for me, it's typically safe to go ahead and do a light level sand. But I make sure to wait several hours. So again, the way I like to wait overnight after my glitter application, I pretty much like to wait overnight before I do any sanding in between my coats. So after the fifth coat, I will usually wait till the next day um, to do a light level sand. Sometimes I use anywhere between 320 and 600 grit. I mostly stick to like 400 for doing the light level sand. And with that, I just use the like a small sander, and I sand by hand. I'm not going to use like the electric sander over my top coats. So with that one, I just use a little small handheld sander and give it a light scuff sand. Clean it off with like either a damp paper towel or a damp rag. If you're using water, like just a little bit of, like water to clean off the dust, kind of dry it off. I would wait anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes before you start applying coats again. Just kind of let that water dry. But I usually use the Crystalac surface conditioner that they have for cleaning off sanding dust. So once I clean the dust off, then I'm able to do anywhere from another 1 to 3 coats before I apply any layered vinyl or any decals. I would say with like really fine glitter and metallic glitters, those tend to get smooth really quickly. So sometimes after sanding that next coat, you're good to go with applying like vinyl or decal. But if it's not like a metallic or a really fine glitter, then I would say I average probably anywhere from 2 to 3 coats after I've sanded, and then I'm able to do like my vinyl and my decals. So yeah, and then once I have my either layered vinyl or my decal, that's when I use a brush for my top coats instead. I just personally I use these really cheap brushes from Amazon. Um, it's just my preference, because I don't really like, especially since I top coat multiples back to back. I don't like the buildup like on my finger, because I feel like I can kind of attract more lint somehow or debris, and just the buildup on my finger. Like I feel like I don't get as good of an application sometimes. So it's just my preference to use a brush, because I like a really clean, um, bubble free, application. Occasionally I'll get a bubble that dries in my top coat. And if I do, then I just still give it another, like maybe couple of coats before I let it dry well and do a little spot sanding. I don't typically sand a lot over um, my decals, but for my layered vinyl, sometimes I will do some sanding after my fifth coat, the way that I do with my glitter. So usually by my fifth coat, I'll do like a little level sanding, and then I will continue on with coats until my desired, like until I'm satisfied with how it looks or feels. Um, you do want to keep in mind that since this is a water-based product, some of the product will kind of shrink down, as it's curing over time and drying out completely from top to bottom, because water is evaporating from it. If you are doing several coats, then typically it can take anywhere from like probably up to about 30 days for all your water to be like completely dried out and evaporated. But that doesn't mean you have to wait 30 days to handle your items. Like you can still touch them because it dries from the top down. So it's just like moisture will just be kind of releasing slowly from, from it drying out. So yeah. And I would say I average anywhere between, I like to typically wait about 2 days before I package and ship any items. And I do avoid packing them in anything that's plastic like. If I'm going to put it in something that's like a plastic bag or something like that, then I make sure to kind of protect my acrylic with some tissue paper, just to avoid any like sticking that could happen, like the top of the acrylic sticking to like the plastic surface, um, like during shipping or something, especially like in the summer months, because it gets really hot, like in the delivery trucks, or being in people's mailboxes. Like I just try to make sure I take whatever preventative measures I can to make sure that my customers' items, get to them, um, without any type of issues or whatever. So I think that's about it. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If you are interested in trying out Crystal at Grand Finale, you are welcome to ask me any questions. Also, I am an affiliate, so you can reach out to me. I will put my affiliate link in the description, and a discount code to save 10% with them as well. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope that these tips help somebody out.